I think the biggest thing that I've actually learnt, I can just sum it up in one word, and it's vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
I actually lacked the ability to be vulnerable and really ask for help when I was struggling, because what I learnt in sport, and particularly being a distance swimmer and having that dominance for so long, was one, any adversity I will overcome, and I will actually, get the outcome that I'm looking for. If I'm sick, if I'm injured, if it's a difficult day. So
Mm-hmm.
surely I can do that in my personal life as well, right? I can take that attitude in there. And I knew if I persisted, that I would eventually be okay. That doesn't necessarily work in your personal life. And the other aspect was, people always looked up to me. So people were always asking me for help. Why would I ask anybody else for help? Because aren't I the person that everyone asks?
Mm.
So I had this complete lack of awareness around how I couldn't be vulnerable. I didn't even know I was like that until now. So I've learned this, because at the time, otherwise I would have gone, well, that's what I'm doing wrong. That's my silver bullet there. I've actually got to change things. I've actually got to ask for help before I go down a path or a slippery slope that's going to put me in a really bad place mentally. And so, going through a divorce, losing a lot of time with my 10-year-old twins now, the twins at that particular point in time, been branded this, that, and the other, and a whole heap of stuff in the media that was very untrue and very hurtful,
Mm.
really put me in a bad place. And then this inability to be vulnerable about it and not actually address the issue
Mm.
was so challenging. And now, even when I have bad days or things aren't going well, I actually talk about it. I actually talk about it with my fiance. I actually acknowledge it, and I don't try and escape the feelings. I was always running away from those negative feelings because I was so used to pushing through them, then delivering the outcome, and then everything was fine and that was okay. But I realized in your personal life and in mental health that you actually can't do that. The harder you run away, the more you white knuckle and clench your fist and try and push through, the worse it actually grows. And that wasn't the case in sport. The more you push, the more you gave, the more you got.
Mm.
And so you were this gladiator in sport, but you can't take that type of psychology into your personal life, particularly when my kids mean the absolute world to me, and missing them put me in such a bad place. And I didn't know how to deal with any of that. I didn't have the life skills to deal with any of that. So for me, embracing vulnerability, embracing those negative thoughts, embracing the fact that I'm going to have good and bad days is actually okay now. And it's actually made me a much more rounded person for going through all that personal adversity and, the mental health issues that I incurred post swimming. Because now I can actually reflect on things with a lot of learnings out of those moments that I went through, and actually realize that if I'm going down the same pathway mentally, that I actually have the tools and ability and insights and self-awareness now around what my faults and weaknesses are. And I don't think I actually developed those attributes through swimming. And because swimming went so well, it actually stopped me from looking in the mirror too often around, well, what are your true weaknesses? And I really didn't recognize those until post-sport and going through all of those challenges. And, the biggest piece of advice I can pass across to anyone is, when things are tough or challenging, ask for help. Don't necessarily use family the whole time. Use professional help. Get to understand, know yourself. And also the biggest thing for me was probably going overseas in 2017 and really taking some time out. I lived with Michael Phelps for a while, and just getting out of the environment that I was really stuck in a rut in, and really getting back to more of who I was, my own value set. And the problem with me too, when I went through that period, I was conflicted the whole time, because you've got this personal value set that you have and a bunch of principles that you live by. And I kept breaking those principles in many ways. So I was destabilizing myself as a person. And I think when I got out of that environment, got to understand myself, got that level of self-awareness, I really got back to the things that I cared about, the principles that I valued. And I became more of me again. And I felt so much better about everything. And it's really funny. Ever since I've gone through that point, and this was probably 5 really challenging years, life has gotten so much better, so much more rewarding. My relationships with people are so much stronger. So as much as I didn't want to go through any of those difficult times, they have actually made life so much more rounded and better now. And I think a lot of it, I realized that it's all up to you. You've got to make the choice to want those things and to want to shift. And then you've got to, again, like anything else, like being a 1500 meter swimmer, you've got to do the work to be able to make the shift and make progress. So yeah, there was a lot I learned, and I think it's made me a better person today. It's made me a better partner. It's made me a better father.
Mm. Mate, I just want to kiss you on the face right now because what you just said is so powerful, so beautiful. The person that I knew 15 years ago was not ready to talk like that, and probably didn't have that level of awareness at all. So to see you now is incredible, and to hear you speak, there's so many great lessons in there for people, and that was such a beautiful way that you put it. You've always been very intelligent, but that was pretty incredible what you just talked about there.